Rob here at etrailer.com, and today you're going to be taking a look at the CURT Class 3 custom fit trailer hitch receiver on our 2019 Toyota Highlander. Here's what the hitch is going to look like once we have it installed. Now you can see it's going to have a really nice appearance because the cross tube is going to be pretty much hidden all the way across. We'll have a little bit hanging down, but the main thing we're going to see is that receiver tube sticking out, so it's not going to be distracting from the looks of our Highlander. Our hitch is going to offer us a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, and we're going to have a really wide variety of options when it comes to the accessories we can mount up. Whether we want to go on a bike ride or want to carry some bikes, we're not going to have to worry about taking multiple vehicles because the hitch will be able to handle up to 4 or 5 bikes. Or if we're going camping, we want to throw a cargo carrier on there and not dirty the inside of our Highlander. It's going to be a really great way to transport all that stuff, or even possibly throw a ball mount in there to tow a trailer. Now the way we're going to mount any of our accessories is the hitch pin hole here on this side. It is going to accept a standard 5/8 pin and clip. Now these are not included with the hitch, but you can pick them up here at etrailer.com along with some locking devices to make sure your accessories are secure. Now if we're towing a trailer, we got to have a spot to hook up our safety chains. In our connection point, it's going to be a loop style welded to the bottom of the receiver tube. You can see we got plenty of room to get most size hooks on or off. Now obviously if you're looking for a hitch, you want to make sure that it's going to be up to the task that we put it to. As far as the weight capacity goes, our hitch is going to have a 500-pound tongue weight. That's the maximum downward force of the receiver tube. Like I said before, this is going to be great for some of those larger cargo carriers or some of those larger bike racks as well. Now as far as the gross trailer weight rating on our hitch, it's going to be 5,000 pounds. That's how much our hitch can pull, including the trailer and everything we have loaded on it. But you always want to double check your Highlander's owner's manual because you don't want to exceed the manufacturer's recommended weight. I'd like to give a few measurements, and these are going to help you when you're looking for accessories for your new hitch, like a ball mount, a bike rack, or even a cargo carrier. The center of the hitch pin hole is going to be even with the outermost edge of the bumper, but our receiver tube is going to stick out about 2.5 inches. Just to give you a reference point, it's not going to stick out that much, and we're not going to have to worry about hitting our leg unless we're extremely close to the vehicle to begin with. From the ground to the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening is be right about 17 inches. That measurement is going to help you when you're looking for a ball mount so you can find the appropriate rise or drop to match up to your trailer. But now that we've seen what our hitch looks like and gone over some of the features, let's put it on together. To begin our installation, we're going to have to prep our Highlander. We're going to have to remove a few things so we can get the hitch in place. So when we come over to the passenger side, at the very bottom of our fascia, I already marked out the area that needs to be trimmed, but we're going to have this air deflector right above the muffler here. We're going to want to trim that off so it's nice and even with the back of the bumper. Now when you go to trim this, you can use a few different things. You can use a pair of tin snips, a razor knife, or whatever you have available. You just want to be careful. We only want to trim the section below. We don't want to go onto the outside. I'm going to be using a rotary tool just to make it a little quicker and a little bit cleaner cuts. And we can always come back and clean a little excess plastic off with a razor knife, or we can just pick off the plastic, make sure it's nice and clean. Now on the driver's side, we're going to have this plastic panel that's going to be on the bottom. It's going to be covering up the frame rail, so we're going to have to pull it out. Now if we come along the edge, we're going to have several fasteners holding it in place. We'll have a few bolts and a few push pins. For the bolts, I'm going to use a 10mm socket to pull those out. There is going to be one bolt at the corner right by our spare tire at the very top, and it's going to be a little plastic nut. Now that's going to be a 12mm, so we'll go ahead and get a 12mm socket and pull that out as well. Now most likely the nut's not going to completely come loose, so you kind of need to pull down on the panel while you're loosening it. We'll loosen that one, then we can pull the rest of the push pins out. And once you have all the fasteners removed, we'll pull the panel out and set it aside. And we're going to have a panel on the passenger side as well. Now this is going to have the same style fasteners holding it in place, so we'll just pull all those out and pull the panel down. Now underneath both those panels, we'll find our frame rail with several plastic and rubber plugs in it. We want to pull all those out. These rubber ones, we can just take a flat blade screwdriver, and we're just going to pop them out, just kind of get underneath it and pry them out. Now for the plastic ones, you'll notice it's got a little slot in it. I'm going to grab a flat blade screwdriver and very gently start unthreading it. But you don't want to push on it because it'll just push it back into the hole. So we'll loosely start unthreading it until we can pop it out. We're going to repeat that for all the plugs on both sides of the frame. Now on the passenger side frame rail at the very back, right by the end of the muffler here, we're going to have this plate. It's held in by this bolt. We're going to need to remove it so we can grab a 17mm socket, pull the bolt and that bracket out. Now if we move back towards our fascia, we'll see that we're going to have several supports at the very back of our fascia here. They're held in by these push pins. We want to pull those out. So we grab a flathead screwdriver. There's little notches in the push pin. You want to come underneath the center section. That'll relieve the tension. Then we can pull the rest of the push pin out and have room to bend these tabs out of the way. Now if we move into the center a little bit, we'll have another one. It'll be the same on both sides. So we'll pull the two out from each side. Now before we lift our hitch in place, I'd like to go over the locations and the hardware we're going to use. We're going to have these 3 weld nuts at the bottom of the frame on each side. We're going to take one of the new bolts from our kit, followed up by a conical tooth washer. There's going to be teeth on there. You want to make sure they're facing up towards the frame. We'll go through our hitch and we'll secure it using the bolts going into the frame. Now with an extra set of hands, we're going to lift our hitch up. You're going to want to go over the passenger side first. We'll lift our hitch up to where the holes in the frame line up with the holes in our hitch. Then we'll take our bolt. You want to make sure you get at least one started, hand tight on each side, so the hitch will support itself and we can work on getting the rest of the hardware in place. Now once you have all your hardware in place, come back with a 19mm socket and we're going to snug it all up. Now per the instructions, they do want us to cut off these fascia support tabs, but I really didn't want to do that and have the fascia not have the support. So we were able to get our hitch in place without cutting these, but as you can see, they don't really line up with those tabs anymore. So we might not be able to get the push pins back in place, but the fascia will still have all the structural integrity sitting there. Now you want to make sure you come back with a torque wrench. We're going to torque all of our hardware down to the specified amount in the instructions. We'll go back and repeat that for any remaining hardware we have. With our hitch torqued down, we have the options of putting those panels back in place. However, we are going to have to trim them, and there is a diagram in the instructions. But today on our vehicle, we're going to be leaving them off. But that'll finish up your look at the CURT Class 3 Custom Fit Trailer Hitch Receiver on our 2019 Toyota Highlander.